Hello, my crafty friends and creators from around the globe. Welcome to Hither and Jan's studio, or welcome back if you've been here before. Thank you for joining me in the studio today. This is DJ here, and today we are going to make some of this fun faux washi. Now, there's a lot of tutorials out there on making faux washi, and we will cover probably some of them, if not all of them, or a few of them. Maybe you've seen these techniques before, maybe you haven't, but either way, if you're looking for some interest to add to your next journal or mixed media project, then we will go through the process to making these fun designs using a variety of products. And even if all you have is some Scotch tape and a book, you'll be able to play along. So don't worry if you don't have a ton of supplies. And if you have a bunch of supplies, you can bring them all in and we'll use them all up. So this is really suitable for any level, and it's just a lot of fun, and you can just play for hours, or, you know, if you just need one, you can just play for a couple minutes. Up to you. So let's get to it, and I hope you'll join me for this really quick, fun tutorial. So let's get started. I mentioned it in the beginning, but I'm going to mention it again. You're going to want to wear protective gear, because we're working with alcohol inks in some cases, or, you know, any kind, you know, whatever. If you don't want ink on your fingers, if you don't want stuff all over your hands, wear some protective gear. Don't wear your nice Sunday outfit. And use this stuff in a well-ventilated area. Okay, especially if you're using alcohol inks and alcohol that builds and builds. And I know if you're susceptible to asthma or any type of respiratory issues, alcohol just makes it worse. And it dries out your hands. So just take some protective caution. All right, that's enough of the mommy talk. Let's get started. So the first thing we're going to use is this medical paper tape. So it's like a paper-like quality. And you can get this on Amazon. You can get it in most medical stores. I think you can even get this in like the CVS, any kind of pharmacy you have near you in the U.S., Rite Aid, Walgreens, Duane Reade, and so on. So just grab some of this if you can. But we don't need this. I'm going to show you some other ways to do this as well, because I had a great little play with all of this, and I tried out a bunch of different things. So if you don't have this type of tape, you can always use some of the other stuff later on in the video. But I have some wax paper here, and I have two, because I'm going to fill up two. And all you want to do is just put your paper tape down on your wax paper, like so. And it doesn't matter how much you use, so whatever you know, you can make these one off, or you can make a bunch at a time and just have them ready to go. It is completely up to you. If you just want to have a play and make a bunch and try a bunch of different techniques, that's what I did. And that was a lot of fun. So I'm just going to lay a bunch down here. Okay, some of these are wrinkly down. That's okay. It's just going to add to the aesthetic. I'm using wax paper so that we maintain that sticky side. If you put these on top of like a regular copy paper or any kind of like cardstock, what's going to happen is you'll pull them up and you may get up some of that residue. So that's why I'm using that's why I'm using wax paper. You could probably use freezer paper, you know, that shiny side of the freezer paper. So that would work as well. A piece of glass would work as well. So as long as you can get it up and put it down. I like it on the wax paper because this is flexible, and I can finish these up and I can just roll them up and store them to the side, or I can cut them and roll them up. It's very flexible, so it works like that. And this paper tape is lightly sticky, and that's why it makes a great base for this technique. So I'll put a link to this below if I can find it, or it'll be on my favorite things page on my website, so you can look for it there. This one is an inch in width, but they come in different sizes, so you can also get, I think, up to 3 inches, maybe even more. But like I said, if you don't have this, we're going to do some techniques further on down this video. So don't you worry about it. All right, so now as far as where we go from here, and let me just move just an extra piece. I've separated these so we can try some different techniques and not run into each other. So one of the simplest things you can do is just take one of your distress ink pads, if you have one. Most of us have them. And just rub it down over the tape, like so. And you get this kind of really grungy look, and where it didn't tape so well, it actually adds to that look. And now I can come in with my dauber and kind of, you know, work that in to the paper tape. Okay, so that's step one, and you don't have to do this step. You can skip right on to this next part where we're going to take some of our stamps. I have a variety of stamps here, and you want to, this will give you a good opportunity to use some of your smaller ones that maybe you don't use as often. Have this one. This is a background stamp. We'll use this one. This is from Bo Bunny. It's called the Newsprint stamp. I got this at Hobby Lobby, and you can probably get it online at hobbylobby.com. Maybe anywhere that sells Bo Bunny. I'm going to take my Ranger Archival ink in black, and I'm just going to use this one side. We'll get that inked up, and then we'll come down and we'll just put this over that tape, like so. And I don't care about any direction. I want it to look kind of all over the place. So I'm just randomly stamping through the tape, like so. So now we already have built this really cool, and you could use it just like that, honestly. I think you could anyway. Just peel it off and use it just like that on your paper. So you could just stop there if you wanted to. I'm not going to. I'm going to take, I have some of these minis that I never use, so I'm going to take some of the walnut stain, and I'm just going to go back over this a little more in some places, you know, just kind of build up that grunginess. Now we're going to do some bright colors, so don't worry, I don't want to lose all, you know, you happy shiny people who like the bright colors. It's all good. We're going to get there, I promise. But now what we can do is take some of these stamps that maybe are smaller. We don't get to use them that often because they are smaller and they tend to get lost on bigger projects. I'm just going to take one of these, get my pad back out here. And now, and this is why gloves are good, you just, you know, otherwise this ink is on your hands forever. All right, and we're going to just stamp across our tape. And you can vary this, you don't have to use the same stamp over and over again. You can double up your stamps, so you could put 2 stamps here and use that. All right, so that's that one, and I'm going to stamp this off over here. All right, we'll put that one away, and then I'm going to get a different one for this side. And as you can see, like, you can build these up in a variety of ways and just keep adding to them. So this is a real basic one. And we'll get into some more complex ones. Okay. So there, we have our first 2, and I'm just going to pull one of them up. And hold on, I'm going to grab a piece of paper. All right, and what we'll do is we'll just take one of these off. And we'll just kind of make a record of the ones that we're making as we go. And then we can have a little, that's funny, my glove actually became a stamp. All right, we'll put this over that. So this is number 1. So this is just very simple, but a nice grungy effect to go in a journal or on a page. And this does come up and down quite easily, so it does have sort of that washi tape. You might pull some of this up, but I would recommend gluing it down. Anyway, I do that with the washi tape, so that would be my recommendation. All right, so moving on. So now let's try alcohol inks. All right, this was fun. I'm just gonna get something to put down here on my surface. Let's use this. All right, I just want to cover it a little. And I have these homemade alcohol sprays. Maybe you've seen some of these made, maybe you haven't. But what you do is you take like an old Crayola marker or any kind of alcohol marker. Let me grab one. So these are like the ones that your kids have, if you have kids, or maybe you have as an adult. And you know, they don't have a lot of ink in them. They dry out pretty quick, but even if they are kind of dried out, what you can do is pull out the, I don't know what it is, like a felt or whatever they use as the marker. And you drop it in one of these spray bottles, and then you just add some alcohol. And what it does is it pulls out the ink from whatever's in here, and you can make a homemade alcohol ink. And it's really cheap to make, because alcohol you can buy really cheap. And you just let it sit for a while. I've actually had these for a couple of years, so they've been sitting in these bottles, but I'll show you how effective it is when we spray it on here. Very cool, right? And you know, you can buy a whole pack of these sometimes for like 69 cents, especially when they have those school supply sales. So I kind of stock up and keep them around because they are just so useful for so many things. And then you can leave it like this and you can let it dry. The alcohol will dry rather quickly and then you'll get a brighter effect. But I'm just gonna dab this off a bit with a towel, like so. And then I'll grab another color. I have a green here, and this one you can actually see. I don't even know if these were Crayola. These may have been like an off-brand that I got at the dollar store. So you can, you know, use a bunch of different, you don't have to use Crayola. Any alcohol-based marker will do. So this one is not as strong, but still. And because it's alcohol, it absorbs into this. I have found that water-based items don't, because I think these are, because it's medical tape, I think it's meant to be semi-waterproof. So the water-based items don't seem to sink into this that much, but I have found some other things that we can do with that. So you can use things like your acrylic paints, or any water-based item. So stay tuned for that. All right, so we're just spraying. We're adding some bright colors, blues and greens. We got a mermaid vibe going here. And then we can just gently pat this off, or you can wait for it to dry, up to you. And again, now, and you can do stamping before or after, it doesn't matter. I just want to make sure this is really dry so it doesn't pick up the ink I put down. All right. And you can blend these too, so you don't have to just let it sit on the page. You can kind of get messy, which is why I say to wear protective gear, because you will have inky fingers for a while. Just so you know, if you don't know, hand sanitizer, most hand sanitizers will take up a lot of the ink on your hands. So, and regular alcohol, of course, generally takes up, but it doesn't get it all. So you always end up having just kind of like a residue that remains. So, and that stuff, you know, it just stays on your hands forever. Especially if you have dry skin, it, you know, it gets into the dry skin. And anyway, so you can see, and some of this is going under the tape. That's okay. It still seems to keep its stickiness for the most part. And because I'm not 100% sure, and I haven't, like, you know, long-term tested this, if the alcohol eats away at that glue that they use. But it doesn't matter, because you can glue this down and still have a great effect. So now I can take, like, I have some broken china ink. These are inks and not oxides. And then I'm going to take that same stamp I had before, and I'm just going to ink this up. I don't know how juicy this stamp is, but let's see. Yeah, it's not working that great. Yeah, I think it's just because that stamp is not that juicy. But hold on. Let's go back to the black, back in black. And we can just kind of go over this again. Like so. Very pretty, very delicate, very easy to do. And you can do a lot of this really quick. If you don't have a lot of stamps, you can just go ahead and do some mark making, right? So you could just add some dots and some lines, and you can write some script. And you can doodle. Do your own thing, right? So you don't need a lot of fancy equipment. This is pretty simple stuff. And that is that. And we have some pinks, so we can go up here and do, maybe we can do like a sunset kind of coloring. I have some of this, and I have some spiced mermaid. So that was pickled raspberry. This is some spiced mermaid. Is that right? Spiced marmalade, sorry. I don't know what a spiced mermaid is. Maybe she had a little too much of the, I don't know. Anyway, and then I have mustard seed. Sure. I'd probably prefer honey, but that's in the drawer, so we're going to use what we have here. All right, like so. And you can kind of blend it together. If you don't want to mix your inks together, you know, you can kind of finger blend it. And, you know, I'm not 100% sure if these are water-based. This is water, and this is alcohol. So, yeah, the water tends to just bead up. So, like I said, and I think that's the intention of this tape, is to, you know, keep it waterproof. So, water, not so much. We'll see if we can do some alcohol here. Yeah, so that really kind of activated the color a bit more, so you could see it now. And we'll just dab that off. And will it transfer over? Maybe. Yeah, like so. So you can get some brighter colors. And another thing, I have all these older markers, and I have Crayolas in here, I have some Sharpies in here, I have some paint markers. Some of these are in great shape, some of these probably aren't in such great shape if they've been around for a while. Just gonna see if I have one that's like a raspberry or a purple. This will work. And so you can take these and kind of rub into the tape like so, right? And then take your alcohol, this is water, this is alcohol, and spray over that, and and then you can kind of spread it around. So even those, you know, cheap Crayolas, look how pretty that is. And if your tip, if you have one that's kind of, I don't think I have one here that's kind of dying more, but if you do have one where the tip is just not as juicy, you can just go ahead and spray that with your alcohol and then reignite it for a little while, right? And just kind of use that like so. You can blend it. I mean, these are cheap. I don't care if they mix, really, honestly. So you can get some more life, even if it looks like, you know, it's not doing anything on the page. Once you add that alcohol, you really reignite those markers. And this is a Sharpie. And again, these are all alcohol based. And the alcohol helps to, you know, kind of activate that ink and makes it a bit more like watercolor, which I love. I just love the way that all kind of flows together. Let's see. I can add some more of this. Well, what else do I got? Let's see, do I have like a yellow? Oh, I do. We have this one. Put that down here. Get a little sunset going. Who doesn't love a beautiful sunset? There we go. Just like that. And if you let these dry, again, if you let these just dry, they'll be a lot more bright for you. But if you wanted something more muted, you just come in here and dab it. And if it's still too dark, you can spray it with a little more of the alcohol and dab it off like so. And there we have just kind of a really pretty, you know, you have this more muted color that we did with these inks, and then we have those, you know, the Crayolas and that gave it more of this look. Okay, the alcohol is getting to me. Let me put this down here. And we'll just do a little stamping on this one. What do we want? Maybe we'll do this one like a postage stamp. So let me put this one away, like so. Oh, and this one is Hip Stamp Hooray. Hobby Lobby also had this. I don't know if they still have this. I'm not sure. I guess maybe, is that the year I bought it? Maybe I bought it this last year. This is Hip Stamp Hooray also from Hobby Lobby, and this is the post stamp set. The other one was the floral stamp set. But let me take maybe this airmail one and this one. Can we mash them up? Oh, they won't both fit. That's all right. We'll do one at a time. And I'm just gonna stamp, stamp, stamp. And like so. And you can mix these all up, use a bunch of your little stamps if you have them. But again, if you don't have any stamps, doodle or Zentangle. You can Zentangle if you can Zentangle. I'm not much of a tangler myself. And then I'm just going to take this one and I'll just mix this in. Kind of do some stamping over, like so. Just kind of collage on there a bit. Maybe I did too much. All right. It's all good. Okay, so that's that. That's. Put you on there. All right, so let's take some of these off and we'll put these on our sheet, on our example sheet. got the covers. All right, I got covers. This must go over here. That's why. All right. Let's get this out. And we'll take this one because it says all you need is love. Let's see, it's really subtle but very pretty. Great for building up if you do like collage boards or master boards. I think they all call them now. You can use these kind of as part of the backdrop. Oh, just lovely. Look at that. Look how bright that is on the white. I love it. I love it. Perfect. Okay. So that's that, right? So that's the paper tape. That is one. You don't have paper tape. No problem. I got you covered. Most people have masking tape. Right? This is a matte finish tape, but you could use any type tape. Even if it's shiny on top, I'll show you a little tip for that. So get your tape and then grab yourself any old book, any book. It doesn't matter what book. The older sometimes the better. I've seen that it just pulls up better. So for this technique, just grab one of those pages out of there. And we'll do this a couple of different ways, all right? The first way is just gonna be real basic. We're just gonna take our tape, we're gonna put it down on the page, and you wanna keep a hand on one end of it because you wanna be able to pull it up. I mean, you can put it all down, but then you gotta dig it all up. So I just try to keep my hand on one part of it, and then I really wanna rub it in there. Here's my little folder. You really just kind of wanna press it down and then lift it up, and look at that. You get like a transfer of the page and you have a great base. And now that we have this not sticky anymore, we can put this other end down and kind of pull up for that. And so this gives you a nice base that you can start with. And now what we can do is stamp on the top of it. But what I recommend you do is, I'll just put it back on the page here, is I'm going to put some matte gel. This is Liquitex, but you could use like a matte Mod Podge as well, and just kind of go over the top of it and give yourself a base to stamp on. Okay, and if you have glossy tape, this will kind of counter that. Now, this particular process or way of doing it, it's not going to stick. Obviously, we took the stickiness off the back, but you can use glue to glue it down, right? So you can do that. All right, so let's let that dry a minute. And while that's drying, I'll show you another way of doing this. All right. We'll get another page out and grab a magazine, or grab your jelly plate, or grab any slick surface. So Yupo paper, or if you have a plastic from your fruit that you got that you're about to throw away, save it. Your packaging, like anything like this kind of packaging that you get from when you order products. If you order products, you could do that. But I'm going to use this, and what we're going to do is we're going to just color on the, I don't know how well you're seeing that. I'll do it over here. I'm just taking a marker, I'm coloring. That's it. That's it. I'm not doing anything fancy. You can mix your colors, you can do whatever you want to do. Grab your tape, go into the color, and now the first time I did this, I thought it was going to do something else, and then it did something else, and it completely surprised me, and I was just thrilled. So sticky side down, go over to your paper, and I thought, oh, this is great. I'm gonna pull up that paper, but it didn't. It like left all my ink behind, and I was very sad for a minute. And then I went back into the ink, and I grabbed some more, and I put that down on the page. and it left more ink behind. Now, I have some ink on here, which is great, but I've lost my sticky. So it's probably not gonna work as well. But in some cases, you have just enough and you can still pull that up. Now, I can go back into this ink, and I have the ink that's on the page. And now I could take another piece of tape and go back over that. And this time I'm getting not just, I just want to pull that up, not just the page, but I'm also getting that color that I put down. So where I was once sad, I was no longer sad because I realized that now I'm also pulling up that color. So just another option there. Okay. And then if you have, you know, the glossy top, you just want to come back over it and take a little mat or something and just cover that up. Like so. I'll let that one dry over here as well. And then what the matte medium also does is it gives you a base to stamp on. So if your tape is glossy on top, it's slick and your stamps are not going to stick to it. But the matte medium gives you a working base. All right, so that's that. And then again, we still have some color on here, so you can come in here and try to get more of that up and just use all that up, and you can mix colors and layer colors. So for instance, we could take some of this and then we can go into that, and we're starting to mix our colors. Okay, and then you can go back over to your paper and pull up some of that ink, and depending on how hard you push it down will really kind of decide on what you get there. And now on this side that you've printed on, you can kind of, you know, now we're flipping it over to what was the sticky side, and in this case it's too sticky, so let's get rid of that one. And you can take your marker and just draw directly on this back side, right? We can do that. So now this is the sticky side. And when we put this sticky side down, you'll find that it leaves even, you know, more ink there. But you get, because now you have the paper there, you actually get some surface to absorb that color. And so now we have this kind of purpley blue going on. I'll just put that to the side. All right, so this one is the first one we did. That matte medium is dry, so I'm just gonna get me a stamp. And, oh, this little one's good. This teeny tiny little one. Stamp block. And now we can stamp on this side like so, because we have that matte medium, and it gave us a nice stamping surface where the top of the tape may have been a little too slick before. So you can do that, or you can flip it over and stamp on the opposite side. Like so. And so now when you put that down, that will be under the tape. So there may be some different uses you might have for that. This one's on top, but this is an archival, and with the matte medium, it tends to just stay put. So I can usually paint over that or color over it, and it should be fine. We have that color up here that we did, so I'm gonna leave this on here like so. And then pull that up, and there's still some there, so I can go back in with a couple of pieces of tape and probably get a lot of life out of that one, actually. And you can, you've got quite a build of different elements here, so the eyes are able to pick up all of that, and if you stamp on top, in addition to that, then you're adding even more of an effect. All right, so that, oh, and then because we've lost our sticky, you can glue it down, of course, but I found this product on Amazon. Oh, hit you guys, sorry about that. It is a non-permanent adhesive, and it comes in this roll, and it's Amazon Basics. I believe this is on my favorite things page. What this allows you to do is basically take any piece of paper and turn it into a sticky note. So we can take this tape that we've made and we can lay it down on our paper. Now it's sticky, but I can take it back up again. Oh, and look at that, it left the tape behind, so that didn't work out too well, did it? I guess I gotta press harder, hold on. All right. So you can kind of, you know, just press it down like that. We'll put this one on here. Ooh, got quite the dilemma here. Hang on one second, let me unstick this. Okay, so that was fun. These gloves didn't help at all. I had to get other gloves. This is a really good tool, it really is. But when you misuse your tools, or you have gloves on that stick to the sticky, which sticks to the stuff that you're sticking it to, it doesn't make for a good work environment. But I did use it, and I have it here, and you can see it just peels up and goes back down like a sticky note. So it works better on paper than it does on like the tape side. So like here, there's still, you know, there's just that acrylic paint mostly, or the ink or whatever we used, and it doesn't like come up and down on this one as well. It does work, but it leaves like some of that behind. So it does work better when you have more paper substance on this. All right, so enough about that. Moving on, I had to cut half of this off because it was funny. There was literally tape everywhere. It was comical. I would have let you watch it, but that's not for everybody, so. Anyway, moving on. All right, on to the next, which is acrylic paint. I'm just gonna grab a magazine, and you can use whatever colors you want. You can go with some bright colors, and you can also use the ink again. So the magazine, you want to find one that's kind of really shiny. Most of them are, which is why it doesn't work so well to just kind of put the tape down on it and pull it up. I have had some success with getting some pictures up, but it took several rounds and a lot of grinding the tape into the page. So play with it, test it, see if you know what your results are. I did find though, however, that what I wanted to do was try to use some acrylic paint, because a lot of people have acrylic paint. Now I'm going to go with the black and raw umber. That's what I have, all colors, but this is kind of my jam. And then you just want to put a little down. You don't want to go crazy. And spread this out, right? And if you have a jelly plate, you could do this on your jelly plate. And if you have a brayer, you can spread this out with your brayer, but the finger tool works fine. And then just take anything. I'm going to take the back of a Sharpie. You can make some marks. And if you have other mark making tools like bubble wrap or toilet paper rolls, you can use them. So we'll let that dry. I'll get some of this raw umber and I'll put it over here. And these are just These are Liquitex Basics, Hobby Lobby. This one might have been Michael's. But I also have this Master's Touch brand, which is just as good to me. Anyway, for what I use it for. I am not a fine acrylic artist by any means, more of a finger painter, as you can see. But for me, it works fine. So find whatever colors you like, get them down. Okay, and you can even, you know, kind of mix stuff together if you want. Let them dry pretty good. And I'm doing it thin so that they can, you know, they can dry pretty good. I'm just going to make some additional marks here. And then, you know, when you take these off, you'll have kind of a different kind of background that you can build off of. So I'm just going to give these a second to dry because some of that is thick. I'm going to dry them with the blow dryer off camera. I'll be right back. Okay, so we're a little varying off that washi area, but that's okay. I mean, it's kind of like a mixed media, but we can use this, sorry about the noise, in our journals or whatever art we're doing. So this is now dry. I'm just going to take, this is almost like a 2-inch packaging tape, so you can see it's a lot glossier than what I've been using. And I'm just going to put that down here over these marks that I made. I'm just going to rub it in, and I'm going to lift it up. And because of the nature of the magazine, it just kind of comes right up. And if you've done this on the jelly plate, you know that it just kind of pulls right up. But then you can go back over, well, there, I guess it's going there, and, you know, pull up other sections. And even without the marks, oh, these gloves, they're going to be the laughing part of this whole thing. Yeah, so you can do this in layers. You know, where the paint didn't pick up, you can go back down and kind of pull up some more. And now we're getting some of that picture with it. And we'll go over here, see if we can get more of this. Kind of pull that up and so on. And, you know, this will give you a nice building layer as well. And then we can take it, once we have it kind of where we want it, where it's less sticky and easier to work with. Just gonna try to pull up some more of this. Then you can kind of put it down, just put it down, and grab that matte gel and a brush. And don't use your good brushes for your matte gel because it's just going to gum them up. I have a lot of little yucky brushes around that I can use for my mixed media supplies. Because, yeah, even if you wash them under the faucet, they tend to still get crusty and they're never the same. So don't do that. We can also just kind of even it out with our hands. What you want to do is kind of cover up as much as you can of it, and you want to make sure you get good coverage, but you can always go back and put another layer. All right, so let me dry this off. I'm going to dump this in water. All right, so it's more, I missed some spots, so you can see where I kind of, if I turn it a little, you can see where I missed with the matte medium, which is fine. We can just kind of go back in and add another coat, and it's kind of muting it down a little. It does dry clear, but it also is matte, so it's going to have a haze of types. I'm not sure. I didn't try the Mod Podge yet, so I'm not sure if the Mod Podge would give the same kind of haze. But I also you can see the blue from my gloves. Yeah, so you can you can see now that it's got much more of a matte finish, and you can go back on top of this now with a host of items. So if we want, we can get a lighter acrylic. Okay, so now you can take, you know, that's way too much. You can take this and you can kind of now go on top of it. So you can build on that design, or you can just spread it out in certain places, like so. If that's your jam. It looks like it would also be really good to dry brush. Let's see if we can get most of that off. Do a little dry brush. Now, this is not like a very artistic moment here, but just to give you some indication of some ways that you can do this. Okay, and we're building up our layers as we go. And then this can get taken off once it's dry, and then you can put that in your journal or on your piece of art or however. And I'm sure we could stamp on this as well. Remove that. And we will put that here, like so. All right, I have one more to show you. Just gonna leave that there. I'm gonna let that dry, and then I'm gonna see if we can stamp on it, because I didn't test that. But let me just show you one other thing. All right, so these I did with this paper tape. And what I did was I put it down on some vellum and I ran it through my inkjet printer. I don't know if it works on laser because I don't have a laser, but what I did was just picked a printable and ran it through. This happens to be from the Graphics Fairy. And then once it's dry, because it saturates into this, and as you can see, it's very muted. If you look through like where you can actually see the vellum, it's a lot darker, but that's good because that's kind of the nature of washi tape. Washi tape has this kind of very muted look to it at times, so I kind of like the way that it did that. But then you just kind of pull it off the vellum, and if this sticks down too much, you can just heat it with a blow dryer or your heat tool and reactivate the you know, the adhesive on there. And so I'll tear this off and put it down here, and you can see that it does like a really pretty and a pretty like kind of washy see-through look. And I have another one. Here is some more that I took off and put down on paper. You can see that little subtle butterfly there. And you can do a bunch of these and then just store them. These I kind of tore into strips, and you could roll these up if you wanted to. Or you can just kind of store them like this, and then when you're ready to use them, you can just tear a piece off and use it on your project. And like I said, they may stick down a little because you're running them through the printer, but just heat the back of it with a blow dryer and that adhesive will reactivate and you can just pull it right off. So these are some other ones that I did earlier, and these are the ones that we did now, which I think look really pretty. And I'm just gonna grab, I have another sheet that I did. So these are the ones we did together. And this is some of the, these are some of the ones I did earlier when I was playing. And you can get a lot of variations, and now I can leave these and then go back and stamp them based on the theme of my journal and or my Happy Mail or whatever it is I'm doing. But it does offer a lot of different options, and as you can see, you can really kind of go to town. My desk is always a mess, I know, but that's okay. I'm having fun, and you're learning things, and I'm learning things, and we're playing, and that's what it's all about.